The other day, we watched a video from Ryan. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I pronounce his name wrong. About what makes fighting games really hard, right? In the video, he plays BBCF Rachel. And I think at the time, he'd been playing her for less than a week. And he was kind of just going on like, oh, how this is so much harder because you have to pay attention to a bunch of stuff. I understand if you're new to BlazBlue, you're going to be overwhelmed by BlazBlue. Like, BlazBlue has a ton of stuff. But similarly to how I think in the past, Guilty Gear difficulty, both Xrd and XX, the difficulty of those games are overstated. I think it's very funny that, one, that BlazBlue went from the baby game to like the hard players fighting game, like the real fighting game. And then two, I just have some opinions on the truth on what makes fighting games actually difficult. So I have like three main things that people really commonly think make a game hard. And then I will share with you a couple things that I think actually makes games really hard. The truth is, the real truth, if you don't want to watch this whole thing, fighting games are actually like working out, like going to the gym, lifting. It's hard no matter what, at all levels, but all you need to do is just start and have fun, and everyone will help you along the way. People who have played for like 15 years will help you who have played for 2 days. They are willing to help you. It's hard because there's more stuff that gets added at each level. This is the true macro truth. Like, the genre is hard. They try to make it easier in a couple of ways, but the genre is hard, but it's okay, and you should just have fun. And there's other stuff in life that's hard that you really should do. Honestly, if you can, like, you know, go to the gym a little bit, that'll be, and then your waifu will be happy, your family will be happy, all that stuff. But the true, again, repeat one more time, the true macro of all this is that fighting games are hard at all levels. It's just like working out. So, what do most people think is hard? So, if you see, both these characters have bars over their tension meter. So, this is their individual character resource. So, most of the time, some people are intimidated by the character resource. This is understandable because you will be making different choices depending on how much resource you have. It's why some people think Nago is pretty hard, especially when the game came out. People were like, oh, it's gonna be so hard to manage this. Surprise, it wasn't that hard. Let me not come at Nago. One of the many reasons why people think Zato is hard, for example. But honestly, in modern fighting games, I think since like 2010s, they have gone about making this easier. And in Strive specifically, they have done it in really direct ways where like characters have stuff. So like Zato has the sword super that instantly gives you Eddie back. So you got like... You're spending resource to get resource, but they give you one really straightforward way to do it, and basically all the resource characters have this, unless it's like passive shit like Gold Lewis. Like Gold Lewis doesn't have a move that fills up his security meter. His just does it over time. But Nago has a bunch of moves that give him resource back. Zato has the super that gives him resource back. They give you stuff to make it easier for you to manage it. Then another thing that people think is hard, and this is why actually I have Gold Lewis and Zato out, is motion inputs. So I got so many angry messages where I said Gold Lewis is a pretty easy character to play, but you have to do half circles all the time. And this comes from my opinion that motion inputs never is a reason for characters being hard, and people will always do it. And the more time that passes, the easier characters' inputs get. Because in the 90s, they had fucking really random inputs like Tenraiha, which is like button up, button or something. I don't remember the exact input because I don't play Shenko. So like there's really random inputs like that back in the day. But these days, if the hardest things I have like trust me, if you do it enough, it really is not hard. And I don't consider it hard because all it takes is one player repetition, like a little bit of repetition, and you can get it. I believe in you. Don't give up. I believe in you. I believe in you. He does have some executionally difficult things, but I don't think just because he has a hard input that is half circle, just because he has that, that's not what makes him hard. The stuff that's hard about him is like neutral and like doing raw 684s and things like that. That shit is tough. But like just doing the input is not tough. It will be tough if you're new, because when you're new, you're not used to doing the inputs. But as time goes on, you will be able to do it as long as you do your due diligence. You keep working on it. Older fighting games have so many more random inputs, but that's a whole other discussion, right? Then the third thing that people use, which I have both these characters on for, is execution also, right? So, and I've said this many times, execution is not something that makes a character hard, like straight up. It might be a hot take, but again, it's something that you could just work on. And from 2010's fighting games on, for the most part, characters have gotten easier and easier, and they keep giving stuff to help with execution. Execution is a constraint. That's something different. It's a constraint. It's not something that makes a character hard. It's a constraint on you. For the people who think like I have good execution, I think my execution is very average. And then when I say that, people are like, "Oh my god, what do you mean? Your execution is mad good." And I'm like, the reason. And I used to be like, "Why do people keep saying that?" And the reason is that over time, I realize it's because they only see me do stuff that I know I can do. I understand my limit on execution, and my game plan is based on this constraint. Like the things I even choose to do are based on this constraint. So these are the 3 things that typically people think makes a character hard. When you're building what you're going to do with the character, because the character has a strategy, but then you also have to pick what to do with the character. Once you reach a certain level of skill, you'll be like, all right, well, there's these things, this leads into this. Let's use Johnny as an example, especially because I played him. You know, one of the things about Johnny is that he has the stance cancel treasure hunt combos, right? Which are pretty necessary to do, and they're not easy. Like, you do have to practice them, but there are easy ones and there are hard ones. And generally, being general before someone shoots me, generally the main difference is just getting additional damage and meter. Just being able to do it, honestly, is enough in most cases, especially when you're starting to learn those things. So when I was learning him, I was like, you know, like everyone's sending me like these super hard esports combos. I'm like, I don't need this. I just need a combo that works on this weight that's reliable. And then I just do that, and then when I play matches, people are like, oh shit, you got those, and like they can't, if you don't play the character, you basically can't tell the difference, to be honest. I recognize my limits on execution, and I build my strategy around that. So I'm still doing what I have to do, I'm just not doing the hardest thing, 'cause 1, I don't need to, 2, I don't want to mess up. If you're thinking about, I can mess it up, so it's hard, so the character's hard, you're not thinking about tactics, you're thinking about strategies. Strategy is your macro game plan, right? Tactics is individual choices, right? If there's 2 combos that lead to the same outcome situation, but one does slightly more damage and builds slightly more meter, but it's significantly harder, that doesn't really affect the difficulty of the character. Like, you're getting the same outcome no matter what. I want the outcome. If the outcome's the same, then I'm just gonna pick the easier combo like 99% of the time. If there's a combo that's hard that leads to a unique outcome, that's a whole like other discussion. But again, it always goes back to you and like the constraint that's on you. The character's plan. I think there's just barely any characters in fighting games period where like execution is literally the reason why they're hard. Like, you can't play the character unless you can execute this, and it's so insanely ridiculous. There are characters that exist, to be fair, that if you can't execute stuff, you can't play them, but it's not so bad. Like, you grind it for a little bit, it's awkward for a week or 2, and then you move on. If I had to go from things that I think make fighting games hard, we'll go from the most obvious to like the least obvious, okay? First would be damage. Guilty Gear Strive, right? I say this from both perspectives, as the way they make fighting games easier over time is how much damage you do. Because, you know, if you're a new person are focused on combos. That's all people focus about on when they start. I mean, some people play for a long time and they still only focus on combos. So the damage being higher means you need to be correct less to win. So when we watched BlazBlue the other day, and Rachel did like a really fat damage combo, but fat damage in that game is like 4,500, right? Which is not a lot of damage. That's like slightly less than 50%. That game has relatively low damage. Like, you're not doing a lot of damage off a bunch of stuff. You need resources to break past certain points. Underknight's kind of like this too. So in games with lower damage, you literally have to hit them more. Like straight up. So you have to make more choices, and you have to be correct more. After that is, you guys already know, my favorite is good old combo conversion ability. Let's get Nago out real quick. So this is a character that you all know and love. Nagoriyuki. He can combo off everything. I just made that combo up. I don't even play the character. He can just combo off all his buttons. Everything that hits leads into some type of combo. Versus Zato. Zato is a character that can't do this. Sometimes you really are out here doing PPP oppose, PPP drill. Like, you can't convert all his hits. Why does this matter? And why do I talk about this shit all the time? Because the ability to plan strategy and make choices is just fucking easier if your conversion ability is consistent. Like, straight up. In Guilty Gear, this is literally one of the most important factors in a character's strength, is how often can they convert hits into full combos. It's a really, really big part of a character's strength overall. When all the characters have this, there's more discussion of threat. So like in games like Persona, like BlazBlue, like Marvel, like Dragon Ball, where you can basically combo like 99% of your hits, you think more about overall threat because characters' game plans get streamlined around converting, right? So this is actually like an old idea where I thought basically if you have a character that converts everything, there's probably an absolute best way to play the character. But my mind has changed about that since I thought that. That was a thought I had in like 2012, 2013. But I don't totally think that way anymore. But you can definitely consolidate your game plan really easily when you have this ability. You just don't have to make as many choices. When you play a character that can't combo off everything, then you have to build out stuff based on what the frame advantage you have is on hit, which is generally minus, what character you're playing against, what options do they have, and then there's the last and big one. Do you as a player even realize that the fact that you can't combo off everything affects your choices, which is a huge one, and that's actually a huge gatekeeper in Guilty Gear. In Strive, less so, because the way the new Gatlings are, it encourages combos off more things, and same with the air teching being the way it is, aka there is no air tech. It makes it so it's easier to convert more often. People in Exiled who don't understand this concept, and it's a very, very important concept, and it will help you out in the game a lot if you realize like this situation where you can't get a combo is its own unique situation you have to build out by character. It actually helps you a ton if you understand this. If not, you are kind of just doing shit after that you see other people do, I guess. This leans into kind of player expression type discussions because not everyone's going to do the same thing in this situation, which is, I mean, it's a good thing, but it's a really important factor in the game in general, okay? And then the last thing, and let me actually turn this off real quick. We have to show two games here. Here I have Guilty Gear Strive, I got Multi-Block Type Lumina, I got Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, I got DBFZ, I got Guilty Gear Xrd, I got Skullgirls, I got the Santa fighting game, and I got something for a stream with the poker players. Wink, wink. This game has been out since June 2021. This game has been out since October 2021. This game has been out since February 2020. This game has been out since January 2018. Xrd, if we're gonna use just Xrd came out in Japanese arcades in August 2014, but the game it's based off of is like from like early 2000, like 2001, 2002. Skullgirls is like 2011, 2012-ish. And then this, I actually don't know. I don't know, because this is not like a mainstream fighting game, so I don't know. So the last thing that I think makes fighting games actually really hard is development, like the development of the game itself by the players and the developers. So the first version versus the final version. We are playing the first version of Guilty Gear. If you're playing Multi-Blood Type Lumina, you're playing the first version of Type Lumina. You're playing Grand Blue versus, I think they're on what, like 2.7 something, not sure. Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 4, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2.1. So you had to go through Sign and several versions of that. Revelator, Rev 2, 2.1, Skullgirls, second Encore, so I think this is like the third or fourth patch of this, right? The players refine the game over time. Basically, people who play the game make the game hard because they keep solving the game, thus raising the general level to be acceptable to play the game. On the developer side, they work on making the game better, and they add new characters, and they add new mechanics. So if we use BlazBlue, just to go full circle back to Ryan, am I saying his name right? So he's comparing BBCF and Strive, and he admits too, like, Strive Giovanna, mad simple, BBCF Rachel, even though I'm low-key a hater, I do understand her skill floor is really high, right? BBCT, so if we're gonna compare literally version to version, Guilty Gear Strive versus BBCT had that garbage fucking burst, the Guardly burst system, which is fucking, the tug of war system for blocking. Lots of moves don't exist in CT that do exist in CF on characters. No overdrive, no active flow, only 12 characters, shitty TRM system, and shitty roll system, right? That they had to fix over a long period of time, from 2008 to 2015, it took them. So it's on both sides, both development from the people who make the game, who like refine the game over time, and people who play the game, who figure out the game, refine the game system, build out the characters, build out the strategies. That's like the last thing. So a lot of the reason why it was so hard for me and hard for new people getting to Xrd when it came out is just because the people who played XX who went to this game have like if you played from the beginning of XX until Xrd, you had more than 10 years of experience and matchup development and time to understand the system versus somebody who's never played Guilty Gear before. In my case, I basically had like, let's say like a month of Guilty Gear before I played Exert in tournaments, right? That's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a really large amount of time.